Hello, today I am excited to have Yash Nanulal from Nedbank here to talk more about the journey of BI at Nedbank. So Yash, thank you so much for being here. Could you start by telling us what we'll be discussing today and a little bit more about Nedbank as a company and what your role is?
Thank you, Lauren. I'm excited to be here and I'm grateful to Microsoft for providing me the opportunity to talk about our Power BI journey here at Nedbank. I've prepared a short presentation that will talk us through about who we are, our journey, culture, and a segment that I would like to touch on, which is where I believe the value in BI enablement can be derived from. First, a slide on Nedbank. So we are the fourth largest bank as measured by assets and tier one capital in Africa. Our purpose is to use our financial expertise to do good, which is underpinned by our unique corporate culture and progress towards being more customer centric and innovative. Key to this is technology strategies and innovations that position us to be more digital, agile, and competitive. We offer wholesale and retail banking services, as well as insurance, asset management, and wealth management, of which our major presence is here in South Africa, but we also operate outside of SA in various areas in Africa and a few key global financial centers outside of Africa. Just a little bit about me. My name is Yash Nanulal. I'm an engineer with a love of data. I have experience in all areas from BI to data science and warehousing. I was appointed as an executive for BI in 2017, which was at the point at which the data program in Nedbank started taking off. I currently run a COE squad with mandate to focus on enterprise governance for all BI tools, and I have 3 execution squads that provide BI solutions that is cluster and enterprise based. So that's me. In reference to BI at Nedbank, it is a federated model as we want the IT side of BI to sit closer to the business. Hence, we have many teams delivering BI solutions within every cluster of the bank.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that introduction. So tell me a little bit more about the history of BI at Nedbank and why you ended up choosing Power BI as the primary tool for the company.
Our culture here at Nedbank is to digitize, delight, and disrupt. To take you back to the year 2016, when the then transformation team under a program of Great Digital Place to Work undertook a pilot on Power BI on a small domain set of data. The biggest motivation for the pilot was to introduce self-service analytics and agility. The pilot was hugely successful as information and insights were introduced at such a cadence that many other areas became interested. The pilot took shape in early 2017 as the first reports became available in Q2. At that point, we only had about 30 licenses. Later on in the year was the most critical decision on our journey, as we were at a point to decide what our tool choice will be for the future. We started off by undertaking a detailed analysis focused on BI capabilities with all various business areas across the bank. Post the survey, a choice was made to undertake a desktop study instead of an RFP, as the requirements captured during a survey were comprehensive enough. Using certain principles, external analyst reports, industry frameworks such as Gartner and Forrester, and the Nedbank landscape, and flexible capabilities to support standardized BI, analytics, advanced analytics, and agile data exploration, Power BI was chosen as the standard enterprise tool for BI at Nedbank. In a nutshell, what our enterprise architects had found was that Power BI was rated by Gartner and Forrester as the one BI tool for many years running. It had the most investment in R&D and hence would provide better value for money going forward. It was also subscription and cloud-based, which fitted directly into our current strategy. To add to that, we found in business was that Power BI was quick and easy to learn, had a large knowledge base, had the fastest and most agile development cycle, was cloud-based, hence was easy to install, roll out, and always had the latest updates. This was really easy to sell to other business areas. Hence, adoption was much, much quicker. Then in 2018, we then expanded our licensing to E5, which is enterprise-wide licensing, and started introducing a slightly different pattern with data federation, with a principle to keep the data close to where it's stored, as we were concerned about network and security constraints. These patterns have made us the cutting-edge force we are now, and we have subsequently expanded that to other classes in 2019. This has led us to where we are now in 2020, where we are focusing on moving more and more of our systems to Azure and a study on Power BI Premium. Then a word on culture. One of Nedbank's biggest attractions for current and future employees. With our focus from a BI side is that we want people to use data in every decision they make. And we do this by trying to be more agile, efficient, and self-sufficient. As data is exponentially increasing, we need more and more people to become affiliated with data and the means and know-how of how to use that data. We can't rely on a few developers anymore. We need the community to come together. Hence, our drive is always people, process, and technology in that order, and I emphasize people, as it's just not about the BI developers, but it's also about support structures from our partners in architecture, infrastructure, security that contribute and add so much value to collaboration. I've seen in the past where focus is purely on the tool, and we sometimes bring in the most sophisticated tool for an organization that is just not mature enough. This is why our maturity model is so important, as we need to assess where the business are and what are the steps required to climb that maturity ladder. Throwing money at the problem doesn't always work, as you need to change your culture and create sustainable habits. In a previous project I worked on at a different company, I felt there was this perception that data is not valued as much as other corporates do, for example, such as a bank, probably because in a bank, data is a product. This business mostly operated on Excel and a few operational stores here and there. Hence, the maturity was extremely low. So while I was there, a modern day architecture was implemented, of which the design was from a metadata, data quality, and governance point of view. It took a long time to build these data sets. And even as these were built, the data was just simply not used. Another issue was the skills, as the tools were quite new, but pretty advanced. And most of the developers were learning it for the first time. Eventually, the project was canned, millions wasted. The trick is, if you don't take into account the maturity of the business, then you will have a mismatch when trying to implement these solutions. Hence, the initial assessment is to take them along this maturity journey. Manual static is really around warehousing and visualizing data manually, but you're still using the data to make decisions. That's a very important point. You can have a low maturity, but you still are data driven. Operational is around running your business on a day-to-day business. Analytic strategic is around using data to influence your strategy and usually requires good data warehousing practices. And finally, augmented, which is around being proactive or cognitive. These steps can be skipped, though you would need many resources or complete culture change. And a complete culture change. There is a last level, which I'm not showing here, which is around how do you use data to generate new business and generate new revenues, to think outside the box and not just in your current business, but to bring about new business. Now, where I believe Power BI has a major advantage is that it's a tool that fits in all spheres of expertise. From a business unit to BI experts and data scientists, you can pretty much do the basics to advanced solutions. One of the new concepts we have brought in is citizenship, which is a common term used globally. The idea is that prior to citizenship, the count of reports was dependent on the number of skilled developers building the report, and the agility and cadence was always dependent on a strict SDLC. And I'll give you an example later on. You will see the difference between report count of other tools and report count of Power BI. right? But now, by having more and more business units building reports with a more agile citizen type SDLC and not worrying about how to write code, we can increase the report count. Hence, we can have more and more people focusing on their data, aka data-driven culture, which speeds up the value enablement.
When users want to get data into Power BI, what does that process look like? And what is the overall backend and ETL process you have in place?
So what supports us in our journey is having easy to understand BI patterns and engagement models where we have embedded an agile behavior within a team and our customers. Instead of asking for requirements, our starting point is usually to ask the business, what do they plan to do with the information? From an operational point of view, which we can deliver at potentially the fastest cadence, right? Has become extremely relevant as more and more systems applications are popping up due to evolution programs that have been delivered with agility and require reporting to manage their business on a day-to-day business. Strategic and analytical reporting, which usually requires our data reservoir and data marts, which are metadata driven and have historical information. And last, we have exploratory area for business and data scientists. And while we have these patterns and so many different types of sources, one thing we have noticed is that people actually want to use Power BI. And yes, why this is surprising is I've generally found in most corporates that tool choice can be politically motivated. We have found that no matter what the source is, no matter what the businesses are, users want to report in Power BI. So our major pattern is the use of an SSAS tabular, which federates data on premise and hence mitigates performance issues on our network as well as data security concerns. Majority of our citizen users typically connect directly to our tabular service, which also acts as a semantic layer because this tabular server can connect to multiple sources. But we are moving towards certifying the same tabular models into Power BI datasets and allowing users to connect to that dataset instead. And this gives it a bit more of a data lineage. In other instances, users have connected directly to the source, as this is fairly easy to do. We have connected to many different production systems in our domain. This is one of the biggest pluses of Power BI, as it has a vast range of connectors, and they are continuously adding more, of which the best part is I don't have to do anything to get the updates. Power BI automatically updates every month with new features, and honestly, I don't have much comebacks when this happens.
Can you share some examples of reports that are being used at Nedbank? Who is building and consuming these reports?
Sure. I want to take you back to the first use case I mentioned, which was around the pilot, right? And this is around the project management office, which FYI, Nedbank spends billions of rands on projects per year. This area has two important aspects going for it. One, it has become fully mature as it has the analytical reporting, a full warehouse supporting operational and strategic reporting through predictive analytics with the ability to predict risks of projects failing. Two, the actual front end is done by business. There's a side note here, though, that this business analytics team have collapsed into my area just very recently. But predominantly for the past 3 years, the Power BI development has been self-service. So we start with the dashboard layer, which has evolved over the years to currently to where business found it to be the most useful, which was actually a menu item. In the menu, all items as per the majority model presented earlier are available. Just a note before I continue, please note that with all the reports that I present today, all the data is fictional and or blocked off. So we can start with a daily report, which is a report used by project managers and scrum masters. As presented, it gives them a daily view of how their projects are performing. For each report, we usually start off with an overview page such as this, but it can be drilled down to lower level details. For example, this page now shows details on project costs and historical trends. Next, we have a monthly report used by the same previous audience, but now also include the program executives who are responsible for running multiple projects and multiple programs. As with the prior report, here is an overview page, and you can drill down into lower levels. And this provides execs with a slightly higher granularity view, which they can track and plan and adjust their strategies as needed. Lastly, I wanted to show you a report with predictive analytics, starting off with the overview page, which shows the risk of projects failing using machine learning. You can then drill down into model features where you can view which attributes are actually contributing to the overall predictive risk measure. Just to conclude, this use case has been operating and delivering value for a few years now. The front end was completely built by citizen developers in the business, while there is a warehouse supporting the model and data scientists that have and support the predictive analytics.
So what has been the impact of Power BI at Nedbank?
So my belief is cost savings is not in the tool, it's in the time saved and the bottom line affected. So here is where I ask every BI or analytics head to carefully look at the holistic cost of producing a report. Break this down into an income and expense. Income is just not in the qualitative benefits from the output of one report that your PDF find, but it's in all reports that you will start wanting as a project progresses. Hence why delivery cadence and agility is such an important culture trait. With the exponential increase in data, the faster we can get business, the more and more reports they want, and the more and more value they can derive from it. So that's your income, right? Expense, though, generally we tend to look at expense as a quantitative cost of infrastructure and license cost of tools. So if you look at Nedbank, we have seen reduction in tool costs and license, and we are predicting further reductions going forward. Right? But for us, the biggest expense is time and skill, as there is a tremendous cost savings by increasing the speed of delivery and upskilling teams faster and more easily. Here we can see how a report count has drastically increased as compared to other tools. I mean, you're looking at orders of magnitude changes here. Power BI has 300% more or 300 times more reports than other reports or other tools. Our usage is also doubling year on year as we see a growth in not just in the number of views, but we are seeing more and more users logging on the platform. Here's another example, right? Here's example of our rewards program, which went live but did not have reports to manage the business. The previous tool they had could not deliver reports in 12 months. We delivered the same in Power BI in 3 months. Right. Another example of cadence is a tactical COVID solution looking at card spending behaviors during lockdown. And this was done in less than 2 weeks. Thus, this report is quite tactical, but it was a necessity due to the macroeconomic factors that could not have been predicted. This allowed business to make immediate strategic decision changes. So to conclude, if we increase the income by having more and more users, using more and building more and more reports, and reduce expenses by delivering faster and at volume, it's an exponential enablement that will drive better data-driven decision-making.
So what does the future of BI look like at the company?
So our strategy has always been agile, as we don't live in a world where we can predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So I would like to move on to what we believe are key focus areas in the near future. Right? But let's just recap. From a maturity point of view, we have managed to establish a solid foundation for BI. Right? And where we would like to grow is continue the growth in skills and grow in more citizens, and especially expanding onto more citizen tabular builders, which becomes more and more prevalent as the data program starts wrapping up, and more metadata AI-driven data marts become available. Focus on augmented BI and growing more and more data scientists or citizen data scientists. We're also looking to transition more and more data sets into Azure, which is a big focus currently at Nedbank. We are not looking at investing in anything locally. We are looking at investing more in cloud. We're also looking at automated governance, which is trying to ensure that with the growth in users, companies' social responsibility to use the tools adequately. And lastly, we are also looking at use cases, looking at BI embedded and paginated reporting.
Well, Yash, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing more about Nedbank's journey with Power BI. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience with us.
Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate Microsoft for providing us with the opportunity on sharing our journey. My name again is Yash Nanulal, and I think the best option for anyone to contact me is through my LinkedIn profile. Thank you.